So what are limit screws?
So as the derailleur starts to move over, as you upshift, this derailleur moves over. Keep an eye on this screw here. The bottom of that screw is right over here. At some point it's going to come in contact with its own self, the derailleur. Boom. Now it made contact. So this portion right here is telling the derailleur to stop. Therefore the chain can't go any further and get into the spokes. Alright, we're going to be working on the high limit screw. I did switch derailleurs. We're now working on a 9er bike. It's a mountain bike. This is an XT Shimano rear derailleur, and it does have the clutch, so it is considered the plus. So here's the switch. This would be in the on position. I'm going to do most of it with it off right now, just for now, and we'll go back to this later. Alright, here's the tools I'll be using for the Shimano XT Shadow Plus. They are 2mm. So this is, these are T-handles. Then we have the L-shape hex. Here we have the ball end on this T-handle, the ball end on this one. The ball end's great for getting in at different angles, but you're not going to have the best bite. So there's always a chance you could round out your bolt or round out your tool a little sooner than you need to. The one here in the middle, this guy, the end has been grounded flat. It's just an old T-handle that had a ball round on it, and we just made it nice and flat, so it's going to have a better bite. More material is going to get inside of that bolt, so when we turn, you're going to have nice full contact, less chance of stripping the bolt or rounding out your tool. So the clutch system, you'll find this very common on bikes that are coming with the single ring. They'll often call them an 11x1 or a 10x1. Gears, 11 gears or 10 gears in the back, 1 gear in the front, no derailleur anymore. So it's a totally new design. We can get into that later. But with the clutch off in the down position, this derailleur cage moves very easily forward. So when you're hitting bumps, your chain is pulling tension, which is going to move this, which is going to allow some chain slop. So chain has the ability to possibly go into the spokes and has the ability to come off your front chainring, as well as jump gears in the rear. So we're always riding with this clutch on all the way in the up position. So there's a lot more tension here. It's always pulling somewhat tight. It's going to be harder to push down, which means it's going to be harder to create this chain slop, and it's going to be harder for the chain to jump off here or move gears in the back. So always keeping it on. The only time I turn it off is when I need to remove the rear wheel, so I can move this around very easily and I'm not fighting the spring here. So I'm going to be showing you a demonstration first, and then I'm going to have you do the same. This is so we can get familiar with what the derailleur likes to do. It likes to be pulling down. Very similar to how we were working on our low limit screw on the other bike. Going to leave the chain in the middle, and I'm doing that for a reason, and we're going to unloosen our cable pinch bolt here, and for this one it's going to be a 4mm, and you can see the derailleur relaxed a little bit, so cable's loose. It's no longer being pinched, so we're bypassing the shifter. Shifter is no longer involved in this operation right now. When I go ahead and pedal the cranks, when I turn the cranks over, the spring in the derailleur is naturally going to want to bring the chain down. It's going to want to downshift all the way to the hardest gear, and this is just to kind of give you a feel of what the derailleur is doing. So boom, all the way down. So here we're looking at the rear of the derailleur. We got 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3. So your low limit screw, which is down here, is going to control the chain when you're up here at your highest, your biggest, easiest climbing gear. So that can be a little confusing. We're going to try and clear all that up. In this case, we're going to be working with our high limit screw, which just means we're going to be controlling the chain, making sure the chain doesn't move over to the right more going into the frame. You're going to make sure that chain, when it comes down, it stops on that very last gear and doesn't go any further and scratch up your frame. And the one in the middle, this screw right here, that's your B screw, which we'll be getting to as well. Alright, so the first thing I'd like you guys to do to go ahead and shift with your shifter. You're going to shift your chain so it's somewhere sitting in the middle of your cassette or somewhere up high, and then we'll go from there. We're going to unloosen our cable pinch bolt here, and for this one it's going to be a 4mm. And before we go ahead and pedal, we're going to leave the chain in place, and we're going to use our 2mm hex or Allen tool, and we're going to adjust our high limit screw, which is located up here on the top. And I'm going to turn that one in all the way, And what that's going to do is it's going to stop the chain before it gets down too low. It should not reach the last gear. And this is probably one of the safer ways to do this. That way we don't overshoot and the chain comes down and ends up getting stuck in your frame, which is not a nice thing, especially if you have a carbon frame. It will start to scrape up some of the carbon there. So I have this high limit screw tightened down as far as it will go. So when that screw goes down, it's limiting the movement of this derailleur. So when the chain starts to drop down, it's probably going to stop shy of our very last gear. But when I turn the cranks, we'll see what happens. Okay, so the chain stopped shy quite a bit. So our shifter is no longer involved here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off completely so you can see that the cable is no longer held in place. The shifter is no longer in operation. So that's loose. So we're operating all by itself. So right now with the high limit screw turned in all the way, the cable is disconnected. I'm pedaling to see if the derailleur wants to bring the chain down. The chain's actually stopping short. So it's stopping on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an 11-speed cassette. We stopped on gear number 7 when it should stop all the way at gear number 11. So we can see how much effect this limit screw has. We may have to go back and make some adjustments with the limit screw if we find that our chain does not go down all the way to the very last gear. But that's something we can go through as we start to move through the derailleur and its adjustments. So as part of the process to help break this down and help you guys understand what's going on here, we're following this method for that sole purpose, to help you break down what's going on and take the mystery out of this derailleur. So we want the chain to eventually come down all the way. We want it to rest on the very last cog. So we're gonna make our way there slowly by unloosening, turning our high limit screw lefty-loosey counterclockwise. As you're backing up, you're allowing more space for the derailleur to start to come down, which is gonna bring the chain lower and lower to the gear that we need here. So we're gonna go ahead and start to unloosen counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, our high limit screw. And we're turning in this location. So if this is 12 o'clock, I'm gonna make one full revolution back to 12 o'clock. So I think one revolution would be okay. So that's one full revolution. We're gonna see how much our chain can move. So we just created some space, so it should allow the derailleur to pull down, which is gonna pull the chain downward. Let's go ahead and pedal. And it looks like we got one gear change, so we went from 7th gear to 6th gear by one full revolution of unloosening that limit screw. Let's continue. One full revolution of lefty-loosey counterclockwise. And let's see if that gets us another gear change. We're trying to go down to the next one. And no reaction there. Let's do another full revolution of unloosening counterclockwise, lefty-loosey. And we'll go ahead and pedal. Nice, so that got us another gear change. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're on the 9th gear. And we're gonna continue till we get down to our 11th gear. As we get closer, we're gonna do smaller increments. I think another full revolution is okay of lefty-loosey counterclockwise of unloosening. And we'll pedal again. And no reaction there. The chain did not want to move. So we're going to continue. Going to do another full revolution. And if it helps you, you can position your tool always in the same spot, knowing that you have to come back around and meet at the same place. There we go. So that's one full revolution of unloosening. We're going to pedal again. And we got one gear change. So we're on gear 10. We got one more gear to go. So here I may do less revolution. Instead of one, I might do maybe half or 3/4 of unloosening lefty-loosey. We're going to make our way down to that last gear. So I will do about 3/4. Give it a turn. Okay, it went down, but it gave me a couple clicks, a little slow, a little hesitation. So a little hesitation could be a foreseeable problem moving forward, but we're gonna go ahead and give it another try. All right, so chain made it down okay, but we got a little bit of a noise, and I'm gonna let you guys hear that. a little bit of popping and crackling, definitely a little bit of noise there. So I'm going to quiet it down so you can see the difference. So since we're unloosening, allowing the derailleur to come down, I think we need to unloosen just a little bit more, so maybe like a quarter turn or so, and then we're going to get the pedal, and we should be getting quieter. So that definitely sounds better, much quieter than the time before. So I think we're in a pretty good spot right there. You guys should have a good feel for what the limit screws are doing. Definitely stay tuned to part 2 of the high limit screw. We're going to do some more testing. We're going to be manually moving that derailleur, making sure that that derailleur's staying where it needs to and not bringing that chain back into the frame. Very similar to the low limit screw video that we got going on. So leave some comments if you guys have any questions or any other videos you guys want to see. Hit like, comment, that'd be great, and subscribe. See you later.